Welcome and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the distinguished annual event, the Queen Rania Teacher Academy Forum 2023, under the theme Revitalizing the Learning Experience to Reignite Inspiration and Passion. We would like to thank you all for attending this forum and welcome you. Established in 2009, Queen Rania Teacher Academy is a non-profit institution that embraces the vision of Her Majesty Queen Rania Al Abdullah to enhance the quality of education by empowering teachers with necessary skills. QRTA provides innovative and high-quality professional development programs in Jordan and in the Arab world. QRTA effectively contributes to serving the educators community, reflecting its commitment to education development and enhancing educators' skills through a range of specialized initiatives. This includes opportunities for continuous learning and advanced training for teachers and school leaders. As part of these initiatives, QRTA hosts an annual event bringing together distinguished educators from around the world to exchange experiences and stimulate innovation in the field of education. This year, our forum stands out with dedicated workshops led by educators for educators. These workshops aim to enhance learners' knowledge and equip teachers with tools and skills to make the student learning experience more exciting and engaging. They also aim to provide students with means to explore the world, interact with international issues, and maintain a continuous curiosity for research and questioning. Before the start of today's workshop, we would like to remind you that you can obtain a certificate of attendance. We look forward to your participation in the feedback survey, which will be shared with you before the end of the workshop. Thank you for your cooperation and valuable presence. Please allow me to introduce Ms. Michelle Posney and Ms. Connie Johol, the co-founders of Collaborative Minds Professional Development and Training. Ms. Connie Johol is the head of adult learning, and Ms. Michelle Bosney is the head of professional development. And they will be talking about the incorporation of AI to revitalize language instruction for adult learners and traditional educators. Please, would you like to start, Michelle and Connie Johol?
Sure. Thank you, Shadi. Just want to say welcome to everyone and hello. My name is Connie, and I've been a second language instructor for 22 years. I just look old, but I've had quite an innovation journey along the way where I guess I started teaching on a whiteboard, and then the whiteboard changed over to a smart board, and then that smart board, changed over to smart boards with additives. And I remember starting off with pen and paper, and then that moving on to using a laptop in the classroom, and then the laptop turned into including a tablet, and then those had additives. I found that as an educator, I've had to change and adjust as the times changed over the decades that I've been doing this. So, do I go back to university? How do I keep up with the changes that come? Well, the technology changes. Therefore, I have to find sources of training, which I can find at my employer. I can find with professional trainers and get professional development. And then, of course, with this modern age, I can self-train and use something as simple as YouTube to look up, what something is and how it's used. So I'm going to pass you on to my partner, Michelle, so that we can give you a clear understanding as to who we are and why we're here. Michelle?
Thank you, Connie. Welcome, everyone. We are very excited to be here, and we thank you all for being here too. As Connie said, I'm Michelle Posney, and I've been teaching for 33 years in different capacities. I've gone from a classroom instructor all the way to directing programs and creating curricula for schools and programs. In my travels, because I am a traveling teacher, in my travels, I remember having to ask my employer or pay for it myself boxes of tools in my traditional ways, books and worksheets and copies that I would keep, binders. Nowadays, I travel with a backpack. Technology, as Connie pointed, has changed and evolved. And as an educator, I've had to evolve with it. The reason be is because I want to be relevant and I want my classes to be engaging. So what is a better way than to continuously educate ourselves? Today, we're going to be talking about AI in the classroom as a way to invigorate that experience between you and your learners. But we'll also talk a bit about call in the sense of all the different computer assisted ways of teaching language. Throughout the PowerPoint, you'll see that we have incorporated AI to enhance our PowerPoint. And we also want to introduce Sarah Stapleton, who is in our audience today, our third partner in Collaborative Minds, and she will be monitoring the chat for us. During the workshop, we will explain and demonstrate. Towards the end of the workshop, we'll have a moment for Q&A and, well, not a moment, a little section. And we will also have handouts available for you. There will be a link that we will be putting in the chat towards the end that you can access. So without further ado, let's begin. So the objective today, by the end of this workshop, we expect that everybody will be able to identify the different uses of AI in the teaching learning experience. They'll be able to list or have a list of the benefits of including AI in your daily SLA instruction life, discern when and how to utilize them, and then incorporate them in your day-to-day practice.
So how do you know you're in the correct workshop today? We're going to play a small video for you. It's pretty short, but you want to watch the video with this question in mind. Is this you when asked to use technology in the classroom?
I'm sorry. Wait a minute.
Pardon.
Trying the microphone. And I hope this comes out right because, oh, I should say a period, right? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Oh, breathe deep. Okay. Oh, what does that say? Wait a minute. I'll read it. Okay. What is it? Say, wait a minute. I read it okay. Who read it okay? Is she answering me? Is she talking back to me? Is that me? What am I doing?
If this has happened to you in your classroom on the first day of using a new piece of technology that your employer introduced, you're a traditional teacher. If the students in the classroom had to get up and come up and fix it for you every day of the first week of using it, you're a traditional teacher. There's nothing wrong with that. And of course, we're going to give you quite a few hints and tips today that you can use to get yourself caught up quickly and easily with technology. Next slide.
Try.
So one of the things that we constantly complain about as teachers is a lack of work-life balance. And when we're stuck in our traditional ways, we are setting ourselves up for that kind of failure. But what if we decided to incorporate more technology and use AI as a tool? We might find a little bit more of that balance. Will it be perfect? Maybe not, but it will be better or more efficient. And then a lot of skepticals say, oh, but what is it? Is AI going to take over a teacher? Are machines going to take over our jobs? That is our fear, but it's not founded. Technology will never replace great teachers, but in the hands of great teachers, it can be transformational. The words of George Couros.
So I'm going to define a traditional educator as someone with a firm grasp of the traditions of teaching, but they're waiting to incorporate modernity or modern ways into their form of learning. And the modern ways that we're looking at right now would be called computer-assisted language learning. We want you to keep in mind that our focus today is on adult learners. So we're not looking at K through 12. We're looking at, I would say 18 and above, right? So let's start from university and above. Malcolm Knowles is the father of andragogy. So we've got a picture of him, or two pictures of him on the left. The one on top was generated using AI, and the one on the bottom was just the traditional method of going to Google and looking for an image. As you can tell, they're both pretty similar, right? It's him. So if you're a traditional teacher and you understand how to work with your adult learners, you're well trained in teaching practices, but all I need to know is to address the modern aspect of the technology that's coming up around me. So we have Malcolm's 5 assumptions, but number 6 would be the assumption that second language acquisition teachers have added to his list throughout the years, which is the need to know why they are learning something. If the adult learners want to know why, you are equipped to teach them why. What we're here to help you with today is the how, right? So you know why and you know what to teach. We just want to help you to enhance how. Next slide. Now, Dr. Kersley, he said that in andragogy, adults are self-directed, and that that discovery that takes place, whether it's through self-learning at home or it's learning through the classroom, that discovery still requires a facilitator. That would be us. We're the teachers that guide them through correcting the errors and the mistakes that they make along the way. Since adult learning is problem-centered instead of content-centered, it would be great if, as we direct them through the what, and we direct them through the why they're learning this, that we don't create another problem with the how we're teaching. So as a traditional teacher, it's quite simple to keep up with the how. And once again, to reiterate, that's our focus today. Next slide. There's a difference between pedagogy and andragogy. So that child's learning process has the educator or the instructor the top of a pyramid, and that teacher is then going to decide every aspect of that course. They're going to decide what's taught. They're going to decide how it's taught. They're going to decide when and how it's assessed. And students have no input into their own process other than showing up and taking everything in. Whereas with andragogy, it's quite different. The teacher is at the center of the learning process, and the adults that are in the course, they do have a say in what they learn because they're saying, this is what I'm here to learn. And you have to tell them ahead of time why they're learning it. And then throughout the course, you have to reiterate why they're learning it. And they would also like to know how are we going to get this done? So being able to incorporate AI into the lesson will only enhance the classroom. And once again, this is an infographic that was taken from vecteezy.com. It's a website that you can create your own infographics at home. Next slide. Now, keeping all of this in mind, we understand that artificial intelligence is the current thing of the day. It's being used in every industry that it can be applied to, even farming, right? Computer-assisted language learning is a huge part of linguistics. It's been around for a few decades, and it's transforming just like every other industry transforms. Artificial intelligence falls under computer-assisted language learning in linguistics and in second language acquisition. So today you're going to hear us go between both. We're going to give you information on artificial intelligence, and we're going to give you information on call. So I just want you to be familiar with the acronym if you aren't. And as you can see at the bottom, these are AI generated images, which would be AI, but it falls under call because we would utilize these in any computer assisted forum that we are presented with. Next slide.
So what exactly is artificial intelligence? It's basically machine displayed intelligence that simulates human behavior. Simulates is the key word, or thinking, and can be trained to solve specific problems. So basically, we view AI as a bridge and a tool. It's used as a bridge to basically address two basic concerns, and that is the concern or the constraint of time. We constantly say, I don't have enough time, because when I'm supposed to be planning, there are meetings or a student comes by or something happens, and then we end up taking work home. The life of a teacher for many years. With AI, things can change a little bit. The other concern or constraint that we constantly have, especially when you've been teaching for a while, and as education has evolved and you have been evolving with it, is how do I keep my students engaged in ways that are relevant and relatable? So basically, whether in a call or a traditional in-person classroom, saving time and engaging our students, that is a universal concern. But using tools that can help us make our time more efficient, or make our lessons or our resources more interesting, that can be done using technology, basically. So, for example, I remember when I started in education, I started with chalkboards. I didn't even start with whiteboards. And I remember all these transitions, and I remember spending hours doing flashcards by hand and posters by hand. Now, in a matter of minutes or seconds, I can create a poster that is appealing and that is relevant and relatable to my students, because they can do these things and they actually do these things in their jobs. This, for example, was created by Connie. How long did this take you, Connie?
Less than a minute.
Using Adobe Express, which is something that most of us as teachers have. So incorporating AI tools can be the bridge between the learner and the teacher, especially the traditional teacher that is trying to become more relevant, more modern, or is trying to maybe just invigorate their lessons a little bit. Everybody hits valleys and peaks, right? So when you're in that valley and you're looking for that peak, this can be one of your solutions to create differentiated, engaging lessons, to create teaching supplements, presentations, and assessments, all in a matter of minutes.
All right. So when I think of a day in my life, I'm usually in that day in the car, on my way to work, and the first three things that come to mind is, how am I going to motivate these guys today? And hopefully, I made this plan a few days or a week ago or a month ago when I did my lesson planning, but I still think about this, and that motivation has to come attached to a lesson plan. And I have to make sure that my supplements support that lesson plan. Then I have to make sure that it all comes through to fruition, where I have an assessment that shows clearly how well these students are performing on learning and what adjustments I need to make. So if I'm going to have, as Michelle said, AI as an assistant, a tool that I would, add to my team of one or my office, I trust a computer as a source of assistance. It doesn't think, it doesn't have a brain. Is it going to think the way that I do? Is it going to really assist me? So I asked ChatGPT, which I love very, very much. I asked it the same question. What's a day in the life of an SLA teacher? And it gave me some pretty good answers. But then remember, I specialize in adult language learning. So I said, you know what? I wonder if I could ask it specifically about my adult students. So I did. And next slide. Some of the answers that I got were definitely things that I knew, things that I was shocked and had never heard of before, and then things that I was really happy to see come up for the adult language side. So, we got our typical things, our classes and office hours, things like that. But there are things that I'd never heard of before, like breaks. You see in number 3 there, that lunch. I don't know what a break and lunch is. I've never heard of these things before as a teacher, because I'm usually just working and I eat while I work, right? But I was really happy to see that if you look at the adult side, number 4, engagement and interaction. So the computer picked out something that would definitely be a part of motivating my students. I have to keep them engaged, and I have to find very creative ways of them interacting. Because remember, adults, they don't want to come to a class that they don't want to be a part of. The individual assistance in number 6, very important. My adult learners require one-on-one time just as much as any K through 12 would. And I find that I always have to make time for them to answer their questions, whether it be in person or online. The number 11, reflect and evaluate. That's also really important for adult learners. If I don't give that feedback, if we don't look back on the lesson together, whether it's either as a group or through individual assistance, I'm doing them a disservice. I'm not helping in the way that I should. And that very last one, continuous learning and self-improvement. We tell them every day, every week, you should be doing extra work at home. You have to put aside 5 or 10 minutes to study this, to practice this. Text me in the group if you need help with this. So the self-improvement was a huge part. So looking at the 2 lists, and my partner, Sarah, is a specialist with K through 12 learners. Talking to Sarah about what she thought of the list, and then looking at the adult learners, what I thought of the list, I said to myself, you do agree that ChatGPT did a good job? And she said, yeah. And when I started working with AI, I realized this is something that I can trust with my lesson and being my assistant. Next slide. Now, I'm going to start by giving you a couple different forms of AI that you can incorporate into your lesson in different ways. And some of them would be considered call sources like this, SMS. But we just want to show you or give you a couple ideas of things that you can use as a traditional teacher to spice things up and to kind of, be hip and fit in with what's going on currently in life. SMS language is not just relegated or not just for texting with my friends, the hey, what's up kind of thing. Realistically, language finds its way into life. And as language becomes more and more popular, it's added to a dictionary, it's added to everyday speaking. It literally changes the English language from the foundations where it began. So SMS language has a place for adult learners because they use it in their work groups and work social media groups and other groups, and they also use it for business writing. And you're like, what? What do you mean? Well, they don't use SMS language in the body of a paragraph, but it can definitely in an email, but it can definitely be used in the subject heading of an email. So let's just go through some of the SMS language to see which ones you know, and I'll give you a quick reason why it's important to use these. So WUU2, what are you up to? Right? It's a great way to start your lesson, great way to get someone's attention, especially if you're in an online class. BTW, also known as BT dubs, by the way. Use this to add an extra piece of information that's really important. BRB, be right back. Great way for a student to exit a lesson for 5 minutes to answer a question without disturbing anyone. LOL, great way for your students to respond to your lesson, and it lets you know that they're paying attention and they got it. Shaking my head is usually something they disagree or dissatisfaction. I love you, great way to end a lesson. G2G, gotta go. Those social media interactions, you can cut them short. TTYL, talk to you later. Great way to cut your social media interactions short. Adults will keep you as long as they can to get as much as they can. And as hard working, and next slide, please, as hard and working and dedicated as we are, we'll keep it going. Now, the biggest part of AI would be focused on its use in your tasks. If you don't have tasks in a call environment, that call environment becomes extremely boring. AI helps you to create immersive tasks. Every form of it can be used in a way that would focus on one of these 6. I see you, Rowan. Good job. So focus tasks, unfocused tasks, closed tasks, open tasks, convergent tasks, and divergent tasks. If you're unfamiliar with these for second language acquisition, get familiar with the terms because you're already doing these in your classes. Focus task is looking for a particular grammatical or lexical feature in the end. The unfocused task, it's nothing particular. It could be any grammatical or lexical structure. The closed task, there's only one answer. No, but teacher, isn't this correct as well? No, there's just one answer in the end. The open task, there isn't just one predetermined outcome. It could be multiple answers. Yes, teacher, does this work also? Yes, it does. The convergent, group work, we're putting together as a group. We need to have one outcome produced by a group or team of people. And then divergent, that outcome is produced by one student. Next slide. So we want to make sure that these tasks are supported by AI, created using AI, and executed because of an AI supplement. Next slide. And so right now I'm going to go through a couple of activities with you, and I'm going to explain to you how they can be useful in an adult environment. Once again, adult learners, most of them are in a business environment. And if not, even if it's a group of teachers, they still ask about emails and email writing. So here's an activity that I use all the time with my adult learners, which would be email me. If you're doing an online class, right, you can use this and ask the students, as you can see with the second bullet, to put it in the Zoom chat. If you're doing an in-person class, you can put a timer on it and have the students do it either on paper or do it in a digital format in Word, Microsoft Word, or incorporate cell phones. Then again, third, you can also use it in your social media activities or time that you use with your students. And we'll talk about social media a little bit later. I picked 2 SMS acronyms for your information and today. And I'm challenging my students to write a subject heading for an email to a coworker using these 2 specifically. So this would definitely be considered a closed task because I'm looking for just that one final outcome. And this one, I'm looking at it, putting it in class. And we will guess what your email is going to be about. So I can then have the other students guess to see, just from the heading and just from those 2 acronyms that they're used to, from SMS language what the email will be about. Next slide. Activity 2, we're going to ask you guys to try this activity with us. So I tailored this one to our workshop. What is your favorite teaching approach? So if you would like to put these in to participate with us and answer the question in the chat, Sarah will be looking to, she's going to pick out the top 3, the most popular ones for us. So if you don't mind, please go ahead. Now, I'm using a call resource by adding this into class. And this is something that if it were a regular class of students and not a workshop, I would ask this at any point. I could ask this at the beginning of class, I can ask it during a break, and then collect the answers at the end. If you notice, this is a focus task because I'm looking for a very specific lexical or grammatical feature. I need the writing to come out into a compound or complex structure. And you adult teachers know that adults love to just get it done and write these simple sentences. And you're sitting there saying, no, compound your information, give me more, make the structure more complex so you can explain one idea with the other. Give me a subordinating clause and then move on. And this is a great way of getting it done. All right. Yes, you can do this in your social media outlets and not just in class. It could be in person, it could be online. Next slide. Our third activity is an open task. And this activity, we're asking you to talk about a typical teaching day for you. What is it like? So once again, this is another activity tailored for you guys. So if you don't mind participating, would you also answer this question? Now, because it is an open task, there's no predetermined outcome, right? I'm not expecting everyone to give me the same answer. There'll be similar answers, but I'm not expecting the exact same thing. If you notice what I've put in with this kind of activity, I've got the do's and the don'ts. I've told them to identify and to list, and then I've told them to avoid. So I don't want them to, I don't want you to include the last week of your teaching week because be it Thursday or Friday, whatever country you're teaching in, our last day of the teaching week is never a typical day. So if you don't mind answering this, this would be really helpful. All right, next slide. So we've got these different types of activities that we can incorporate into our lesson, right? Now, form of AI that goes very, very ignored by traditional teachers would be memes. I use memes all the time, and I create my memes myself. I created this meme using Meme Generator. I looked through the chat while Michelle was talking, and I noticed that I forgot the name, and I'm sorry about that. But someone gave a contrary opinion or an additional opinion to something that we said earlier. The whole point of a meme is to get exactly what that participant just did. We're trying to get critical thought. We're trying to get discussion going. We're trying to get people saying, well, wait a minute. One little picture with specific pictures and specific pieces of information can create a conversation that can last for a 15-minute timed activity. And I know many educators are worried about getting adults to speak. This is a great way to do it. What's the argument that I'm trying to get us teachers to talk about? What motivates adult learners? Is it, in my opinion here, it would be work and school. And I'm sure someone sitting in the audience now is going, just work and school? No, there's also family, or there's also something else. And that's the whole point, is you can put up a meme, a well-crafted meme, and a class can sit and respond to that in a great way. I used Gru because Gru wants to take over the world. So I put something funny at the end. So that way I get a quick laugh, but it still brings me back to the conversation that I would like my students to start. Memes are not just for you to say good morning and good afternoon, with your friends every day. You can use it for your lessons in multiple ways. Next slide.
So not just to show funny cat videos and stuff.
Right. Social media. Now, this is a call resource that you would then use multiple types of AI with. So the memes I create, I also create my own videos from scratch. Yes, I create videos on a AI video creator, text to video creator. I also create my own recordings. I create images from AI image generators. Every single type of AI resource that I create, I use them in social media. Now, I understand that a lot of us educators, between the ages of 40 and 65, don't spend as much time on the cool sources of social media as the 20-year-olds do. So I would suggest pick two sources that you are familiar with and that you are used to using. Or at the beginning of your semester, if it's a university class, or the beginning of your program, you want to ask the students, what's your primary source of social
عادي
media?
الشرب ولا العصير هذا قل مش زي أول يعني شو بقى بالنهار يطلع.
Sorry, would you like to mute your mic, please?
Because I was scared for a moment. I would have answered the question if I understood Arabic enough, I promise. So, my number one choice for social media, which I use with all of my students, no matter what the program is WhatsApp. Why do I use WhatsApp? It's fast, it's quick. Adults don't have a lot of time. They got 5 minutes in between work or in between family to just take a look at it and go, she wants me to fill in the blanks with what? What should that be? Or simple or I don't know. So I like to use WhatsApp because it's quick, it's fast, and it's very easy for the students to access on the go. My other favorite one would be Instagram. Why? The larger videos that I create will take up room on people's cell phones. So what I do is I put my larger videos, my larger recordings, all of my memes, all of my images, larger attachments, anything that has a visual, I put that onto Instagram. Anything that I use for PowerPoints and Microsoft Word documents, I definitely put those into WhatsApp only. But 90% of everything that I put on WhatsApp, I then back it up by putting it into Instagram, because this way the students are seeing it twice. Or if someone didn't catch the WhatsApp group, but they caught the Instagram, then they're able to see it and I don't miss out on anyone. So those are my two primary sources. I know in the Middle East, Snapchat is very popular, but remember, Snapchat disappears. So if the student looked at it this morning and was too busy to spend more than 3 minutes, but then decided after work they want to look at it again, on Snapchat, it might be gone, right? All right, next slide. Oh, wow, very cool idea, Rowan. Yes, you're a science teacher, that's awesome. Just waiting for the slide, I'm so sorry. All right, now the third thing that's really important for you when it comes to AI sources is the employer. Overall, remember when we looked at the differences between andragogy and pedagogy, the student is in the center, so is the employer. The employer actually becomes a part of the student, or the university becomes a part of the student. So whether you were contracted by the student one-on-one, you were contracted by a university, or you were contracted by a company, you still have to incorporate that university and the employer along with the student deciding their education. Now, it's a good idea to sit down with that company, because if it's a university, your department's literally going to tell you in the very beginning what AI sources they have available for you to use, right? If it's a company, you want to ask them what kind of portals do they use, and if they do offer a temporary login or a contractor login for you, so you can log in and use the same portals that they use with their employees. That familiarity is good for the students because they're familiar with using that. That it could be WhatsApp, it could be Teams, it could be something else, but at least they're used to the portal. And then you can even ask the employer what kinds of AI technology do they use, so that once again, you can mimic what it is that they use. If you notice on the left, I mimicked something that Aramco would probably use in presentations with their employees. So I've created a mind map, which is a huge teacher favorite, that would look something like a table or a chart that they would see in their presentations in their department. And this is something that I would probably use at the beginning of the course to let them know that these are all the different aspects of Aramco HSSE that I'm going to be teaching throughout the program. So it looks like something they've seen before, so it gets their attention and it gets them feeling like, wow, this is professional, I'm used to this. Now, what happens if you don't have access to a portal, or you don't have access to AI, or you do, but you want to do something extra? There are other ways and other things that you can do for that employer. Employers and students love to say, we need them to know the vocabulary. And the students are like, I need more vocabulary, teacher. Why don't you give us more vocabulary on this topic? And you're like, you know what, I can do that. And if you're like me, you spend all your extra time creating vocabulary lists for your students, even though you have dutifully sent them 2 dictionaries and thesauruses to look this information up, but they refuse to do so, even though you've given them the apps and the websites. But because you love them, you're going to create, vocabulary sheets that you would then put into your social media, because I post vocabulary every Friday in my WhatsApp group for my students for the following week, so that they can study their vocabulary before coming to class and before using the new unit. Now, if you look at the example on the right, I use an app called Vocab Grabber from vocabulary.com. I've got 10 words that I wanted to type in. I typed in all 10, but I only got 7 of them from the app. We would love for AI to do everything for us, but unfortunately, it can't do everything. Most of the times, in my experience, it's cut the workload to the point where it can do 70 to 100% of the work for us. Here, in this example on the right, it's done 70% of the work for me. 3 words were not in the vocab grabber. That would be the compound structure, safety measures, emergency responses, and contingency plan. C'est la vie, that's life, right? All I have to do now is just define these 3 myself. So instead of spending 10 to 20 minutes defining it and simplifying it, app just did 70% for me, and that 30% is going to take me about 3 minutes. Next slide.
So we spend hours on end, or we used to spend hours on end creating lesson plans. And while we were doing that, sometimes we would find ourselves in a dry spell, not knowing, what am I going to do now? How do I did this activity last week. I don't want to repeat it. So what can I do? Well, very simple. Just 1 second. There we go. And as I said, this is a live show. And with live shows, these things happen. Important thing is just keep moving on. So let's say that I want to create a lesson plan. I'm going to teach the simple present. AI is a great tool. Connie mentioned ChatGPT. I use it all the time for lesson plans and other things. We're going to do a demonstration using ChatGPT in a little bit. Connie will be taking care of that. I chose something different to give you a little bit more variety. And I chose to use Auto Classmate, which also has other AI tools for generating worksheets, a pre-lesson activities to engage the students and go over to activate prior knowledge in a topic. And this is an easy one to use. If you can see here, there is a login, you can become a member, but you don't have to. I'm going to use it as is. So I'm going to come in as a guest. Now, obviously, when you create something on AI, it is not entirely your property. All right. So that is something to keep in mind. But that means that it gets shared, or that other people might be able to access. In this case, this is one of those things. So I'm going to choose my grade level, and my grade level of students is pre-intermediate. That's their proficiency. And I'm going to say that I want to teach them how to write sentences using simple present. And I'm also going to want them to know what the rules for use of simple present are. So understand the rules for simple present tense use. Of course, I cannot have a misspelling. All right, use. And I'm going to say that the content area is ESL. And then the next thing I need to do, I'm not working in the United States, so I don't have to align with any standards. All I have to do here is click generate lesson plan and watch the magic happen. I click generate and it is generating a lesson plan for me. It might not be exactly what I want, and I might use bits and pieces of it, or it might be exactly what I want and I can use the whole thing. Now, once it has finished generating, I can go over it. If I like the lesson plan as is, I can go ahead and I can download it as a PDF. But if I don't, all I have to do is click here, regenerate. Now, as you can see in the lesson plan, we have a title. So I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to copy and paste that title down here. This is a requirement for saving it. I also have to put in my name and email. Here it is. Okay. So Michelle and Posney and email. I don't want to receive a newsletter because I'm not really interested right now. And I'm going to save the lesson plan. And as you can see, here it is. If we want to look through it, it gives me the objectives, the learning objectives, the procedure is here. So 5 minutes of introduction, there's an activity, an explanation and practice. So the mini lesson, you don't want to tire people. Engaging activities, so I want to give them something to engage into the lesson. A guiding practice, another engaging activity that would focus more on speaking, and then our conclusion, so the wrap up of the lesson. Then there will be other connections to learning activities. And in some occasions, it will even give you the assessments, suggested assessments. I'm going to download it because I'm happy with it and I want to save it now to my computer. So I go ahead and I click here and now it is mine to save. Now let's go back into our PowerPoint. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, I created a lesson plan. Maybe it'll take me a couple of minutes if I decide to play with it. What happens if I only like parts of it and I don't like other parts of it? I can always copy and paste that into a Word document and I can piece it, you know, sort of like a Frankenstein thing, but it still cuts my lesson planning down to minutes rather than hours. And if I already know what I'm going to be teaching, because I have a curriculum, there are things that I might be able to plan ahead of time. So in the time that it takes to plan one lesson for 1 week, I might be able to plan a full semester in that time. So something to think about. Now, maybe I want to also generate something to engage my students. As I pointed out on that same site, I go to AI tools, and there is something called Activation and Engagement Activity Generator. And this here was generated on that same website in a matter of literally 30 seconds. And I was happy with it because it goes straight, it's related straight with my lesson plan. And a list of all of these things will be in the handouts in the chat towards the end.
Okay, I'm going to be moving a little quickly because we want to make sure that we leave enough time for you guys for Q&A. If I am speaking too quickly, I'm so sorry. All right, now Michelle just showed us how to make a lesson plan in a very short amount of time. I want to make my supplements for this lesson plan. Remember the slide we had earlier? 3 things in Connie's day would be motivate my students, make a lesson plan and supplements, and then make my assessments. So I've got my lesson plan done. I want to make some supplements. If you look at the slide we have here, 2 sides. On the left side, or on this side where my hand is, we've got simple present slides from a PowerPoint. This is the traditional way. I've got images that I just took from Google and I created basically practice slides. So if we're looking at a PPP method or PPP teaching approach, here I've got definitely something I can use in the P, right? And if I could possibly even use it in my presentation of a PPP class, but I'm definitely going to use this in my practice. Now, sometimes this takes forever, right? A quick way to get these images, instead of having to search through multiple websites, I could go ahead and use an AI generator, which would give me specifically what I want. And I'm literally picking from pictures that are free to use from the AI generator of what I exactly want. And I'm just picking whether I should use a male or female or a blue or white car. Now, back to that presentation section of a PPP methodology. I want more to do with my presentation. I am so tired of getting infographics from the internet or from the textbook or from the supplementary materials that comes with the textbook that has too much information, doesn't have enough information. My students think I don't understand this. Could you explain it more? How about I just make my own? I make my own infographics. There are great websites like Visme. No, it's not free. There's a payment, and I do have an account. And for me, I think that it is a very useful resource, and it's something that I don't mind paying for, because when I create my infographics, I put them on my USB or my external hard drive, and they are reusable. I just make sure that I label them well enough to know exactly what it was. Now, I created this myself, and we're doing simple present for a pre-intermediate class. It has only the information that I want my students to target and focus on. And so next slide. And so I don't have too much to overwhelm them. Another source, this is a call resource. So remember the slide before, I can create my infographics, I can create my own memes, I can create my own images from an AI generator, I can create my own videos from a text to video creator, I can create my own recordings, I can create all of these AI sources. They're call resources that a lot of teachers tend to overlook. One of them would be the interactive website. Whenever you find interactive websites, you want to add it to your favorites list. Yes, interactive websites sometimes have a short lifetime of 5 or 10 years, but some of them have been up there for my entire teaching career. You want to make sure that when you find it, you add it to your favorites list by pressing the star that's up where the website name is, right? That's the simplest way I can explain it. Thank you, Michelle. And that favorites list, you want to put a title on the folder, create a folder, put the title that says interactive websites. Remember, your favorites list can be exported to another laptop and imported to your other laptop. You can send it to your tablet. So if this is your personal laptop, but you want to send you have a new contract and a new company, they've given you a work laptop, export your list to your laptop so you have it. This is from Read, Write, and Think, and I usually use this timetable when I'm doing grammar practice. And I often use this when I'm doing the production part of a PPP lesson. And I use this for the production part in the end. So when students want to go ahead and show me what they've learned and put it on a timeline, this is something that I could make it blank. I can take away, Pirates of the Caribbean and the girl in London. I can make it blank and have them put everything on there. So don't forget, there are interactive websites that you can add to your list. Next slide.
So okay.
Yeah, I noticed the delay, so I'm trying to call it early. All right, and our last one would be something that every traditional educator loves: worksheets. I would never stop using worksheets, even for adults. And I know that, adults will sit there and be very, very offended if you give them a worksheet that looks like something for a child. Whenever you're looking for worksheets and you plug in present simple into Google, what happens on Google? You end up getting these worksheets that look like they're for kids. There's a choo-choo train and a little apple with a worm in it, and it's so cute. You can't give that. Sorry, it's cold in here. You can't give that to your adult learners. So you have to make sure that you create your own worksheets. I got very tired of downloading PDFs from Google, then having to go in and edit the PDF by using the black marker to mark out the website, because the adult learners are smart enough to go back to the website and just get the answers. Thank you, Shamsa. And I also got very tired of taking printing it, cutting out pieces, using tape, taping it back to an A4 paper, putting it into a copy machine, and making something that looks like it's for adults. It's so much faster and easier if I just do it myself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a quick way that you can do it yourself using ChatGPT. I know someone in the list, I think if I'm correct, I saw someone in the chat say that ChatGPT might not be very reliable. I'm going to show you how you can, at this point in its development, because remember, it's going to gradually keep changing as well. I'm going to show you how you can make sure that you get exactly what it is that you want from ChatGPT. All right, I got to be quick. So I need a worksheet, man. So all I'm going to do is type in present simple worksheet. Am I going to stop there? No. Remember, I want to make sure that it's reliable and I want to get exactly what I want. So I'm going to put in adults. Then again, I'm also teaching a pre-intermediate level class, or you could even pick your CEFR level if you wanted to. You could do A1, B1, or C1. It depends on what it is that you'd like to do. So because we're focused on pre-intermediate for the lesson plan we did earlier, I'm going to type that in. And as ChatGPT is forming it, I'm going to check to see that it's giving me exactly what it is that I wanted. It's a simple worksheet for practicing present simple with adults at the pre-intermediate level. So far, so good. Then here goes the affirmative, the negative, and the question. So I've got the three aspects of the grammar point. This is what I want. I want a practice sheet. That's it. So I check it. I've got 5 affirmatives, 5 negatives, some yes and no. Wow, they threw that in. I've got some WH questions. Oh my gosh, short answer questions as well. And look at that. They threw in a speaking activity. The one that I did yesterday while Michelle and I practice, because teachers practice and we tell students to practice, threw in writing. All right. So if I click it, and this is one thing I like about ChatGPT, it shows you your history. Oh, it won't show me my history. Don't do that. Show me my history. Okay, it's not coming up, but it gave me writing examples. Now, because of time, there we go. You're so slow. So here I ended up getting present simple worksheet, pre-intermediate adults, affirmative, negative, yes, no, everything. Let me check it. I've got affirmative, I've got negative, I got yes, no, short answers, and I've got some writing. So if you put it in once or twice, even up to 5 times, they're going to generate different things for you. So you can cut and paste them. At this point, all you do is copy and paste it into a Microsoft Word document and pick and choose what you want. Go shopping in ChatGPT. If you only do it one time and you depend on just one generation, you're not going to be satisfied with it. And as a teacher, you really shouldn't be satisfied with once. We tell our students to do their best work. So when you're doing your lesson planning in ChatGPT, you got to do it more than once. To save time, I'm going to go ahead and show you our next slide right now, which would be the assessment. And that I have saved also from a few days ago or a time before. So see, here goes my history of planning for this presentation. And here I'm going to pick this one. Right. So let's check what ChatGPT did for me. I typed in create an assessment for ESL pre-intermediate learners on present simple. I didn't put adults in, but I could. I could add the word adult to this as well, and I would get something. So 3 or 4 or 5 variations, different, search criteria, change it with words and get different questions and things that you'd like to use. Check what it did. Present simple for ESL pre-intermediate learners. We're doing well. Look at that. I've got clear instructions for everything. I've got some multiple choice. This looks good for a test. I've got some fill in the blanks. Got some negative questions, negative sentences, okay? And they're changing it from positive to negative. Look at that variation and differentiation in question types. I've got yes, no. I've got some short answer questions. Look at that. Mashallah, I got some writing. This looks really good, right? Then even at the end, it did the scoring for me and told me what it was out of 50. So ChatGPT does do the extra for you. You just have to make sure that you do it more than once. Okay, so like I said, this is continuous, but what happens if it took me, Michelle, how long did that take to make those assessments? Seconds? So that may
Took
be,
you a few seconds only.
so a few seconds to create these. I just made, Niraz, I see your hand. I'll be with you in one moment. I just made my assessments. We made our lesson plans, we made our assessments in less than a minute using an AI generator. But what happens, like Michelle said earlier, if I plan the week, maybe I should plan my month, maybe I should plan the next 2 months. My students are going to go from present simple to present continuous to present perfect tense. Why don't I just do all of that right now? Same thing. I can do the ESL pre-intermediate learners on present continuous, and I would still have variated question types and even the scoring, and look at that, writing in the end. I could then do the present perfect tense, same thing. I've got some variation. And actually, this one only gave me multiple choice. I will search it again 2 or 3 times to get some of the question types, and then I will make my test. And this way I can have, knowing my students' ability, knowing how to challenge my students, I have my next month and a half to 2 months planned out with tests and assessments that as time goes by, I can adjust, you can make changes. All right, we're running out of presentation time. Michelle, can you bring us back to the PowerPoint? So what I'm gonna do is I'll just finish and then Naraz will start taking questions in about 8 minutes, okay? All right, next slide.
Yes, I'm getting there. All right.
So this is what I just did for you in ChatGPT, which would be the assessments. Now, a lot of you, go back 1 slide. A lot of you were wondering, okay, you just said grammar points, right? So we just did some generations for grammar points, for example, English, good job, Rim. So what we could do is also used, if not AI, which you can also use call resources to create your listening tests, your speaking tests, your writing tests, your reading tests. You can use other resources as well, not just AI. So Michelle and I are going to do a quick demonstration for you, and we'll get back to this in 1 second. One moment. Let me just do this, share my sound really quickly. Faster this way. There we go. And we're here. What I've done is I'm going to make a short listening test for you. And I put the transcript here just so that you could see what I'm doing in real time. Usually I get to my desk, I got to make a listening test. You know, in the old days, 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh, my listening test. And sitting there hoping to just use one from the CD-ROM, right? Now I'm just like, oh, got to make a listening test. Go to my friend, Microsoft Word, which is a call resource, right? I'm going to use the dictation option that's there. All I have to do is press dictate, Connie, Michelle, comma, where are you going? Question mark. Next line.
You have to restart,
Well,
Connie. It didn't, it started at Michelle.
no, I just think there's a lag.
There is a
I
lag.
wouldn't have no, I wasn't gonna restart it. I would have just continued. All right, let's go. Let's start again. Connie, Michelle, comma, where are you going? Question mark. Next line. Michelle, I'm going to the break room to get a cup of coffee. Full stop. Do you want one? Question mark. Next line. Connie, sure! Exclamation mark. I could really use one. Full stop. Next line. Michelle, why are you so busy? Question mark. Next line. Connie, semicolon. I'm behind on my reports. Full stop. The deadline was yesterday, comma, and I still have about 50% of them to complete. Full stop. Next line. Michelle, oh no! Exclamation mark. I will give you a hand when I get back with the coffee. Full stop. Next line. And I stopped. Now, just want to say, this is a 74-word listening. And now that I've finished dictating in, how much was that, Michelle?
A minute and so.
So it took me about a minute to just speak all of that in. I want to do my editing. We're teachers, so I want a capital M there. And that's just the spelling. I guess they want the French version. And I'm checking. I want a capital S here. And I want a capital W here. And I said semicolon on purpose because I wanted you to show if you make a mistake, all you have to do is fix it during editing very quickly. And they want ah or the, but we're being very specific with the because we know which coffee we're talking about, correct? Now, I don't like that it is bold, so I'm just going to unbold it. And there goes my transcript. So I was able to create a 74-word transcript in just over a minute. If we were doing this for pre-intermediate or advanced learners, it would probably take me 5 minutes, right? To do like a 500-word transcript. Now, we've made the transcript, let's record it. If this were our office, Michelle and I would be sitting, you know, side by side, and we would just do the recording together in the office. But because this is a Zoom situation, I can't record both voices because we're not at the same laptop. So you want to go into your laptop and when you want to look up recorder, right? And whether it's Apple or it's Windows, it's still going to come up all of them come with an app, a sound recorder. So you can have a sound recorder in your laptop, in your tablet, and your cell phone. If you're better at using your cell phone, use the cell phone and then transfer it to your laptop or whatever source you're going to use it for, right? All right. So I'm going to do both voices. So Michelle, don't kill me. Okay. Michelle, where are you going? I'm going to the break room to get a cup of coffee. Do you want one? Sure, I could really use one. Why are you so busy? I'm behind on my reports. The deadline was yesterday, and I still have about 50% of them to complete. Oh no! I'll give you a hand when I get back with the coffee. Darling. So here we've got our recording. I'm going to play it for you. Nod your head if you can hear it, Michelle. Michelle, where are you going? I'm going to the break room to get a cup of coffee. Do you want one? Sure, I could really use one. Michelle, where are you going? I'm going to the break room to get a cup of coffee. Do you want one? Sure, I could really use one. Why are you so busy? I'm behind on my reports. The deadline was yesterday, and I still have about 50% of them to complete. Oh no! I'll give you a hand when I get back with the coffee. Darling. So here I've got my 26-second recording. So I know 74 words in 26. And here I found we had one more mistake. Delete that. Next slide. Teachers, we can't help it. Can't stand seeing them. So I've got my transcript and I've got my recording, and that was done in a minute and just
About 30 seconds altogether.
so we've got a minute and a half, and I've got the majority of this done, right? Now, the assessments, questions, that's the last part of this listening test. I have two choices. If I'm a fast typer, I can just type it in. If I'm not, dictate to Microsoft Word. Dictate your questions in and then edit, and it'll take you quite some time, a short time. So if you notice, I just made a listening test, a short listening test in less than 2 minutes, right? It's possible. I have some suggestions. As you can see, I have a paragraph here. Michelle, I'm going to bring us back. I have a paragraph here for a speaking test. Can you bring us back? So I can use Microsoft Word to do the same thing for a speaking test. Just dictate whatever words I would like the students to say into Microsoft Word. You're probably asking me, what do I mean by a speaking test for this? Remember, we're running out of time. With adult learners, they would like to have pronunciation practice. This is something that I can do for them to give them a chance to record themselves while they're speaking. I use Microsoft Word as a call resource. I use the voice recorders as a call resource. I have the students record themselves. I record the students. I record myself. So there are multiple ways that you can get call resources into your class. Next slide.
All right, so you must be asking yourself, how many things do we need? How many programs? It's up to you. ChatGPT can do 3 different things. If you choose to do them all in one place, you can go through Google as we have through the years, and you can find more sources and save them to your favorites. Some of the things that we use are already built in software that we already have purchased, like Microsoft Office or Adobe. And so really, it's a matter of making choices that work for you and that work for you, meaning not only that you like them, but that they're actually making your time more efficient. Artificial intelligence and technology is the future, and the future is here. Do you have anything to add, Connie?
We are professional development trainers. If you need any help, you have some questions, feel free to go to our website and email us at any time. We are always here to help. So don't be afraid of being a traditional teacher because it's a lot easier than you think. And the younger teachers need us way more than we need them if we end up getting our call and AI resources up to date.
Can I ask a burning question, please?
Sure.
I teach other languages. So do you think I can, mainly Arabic, for example, can I implement the same things, or most of these resources can only work in English but not in Arabic?
Most of the
No,
programs,
go ahead, Connie.
sorry, most of the programs come in multiple languages. So all of the text to video editors, they all have multiple languages. All of your recording sources come in programs that have multiple languages. So if it comes with your laptop is going to be Arabic friendly, so it will be in Arabic. The meme generators, the language that you put into the meme generator would be Arabic or of your choice. So whatever you input, that's what you'll get. Visme and Adobe and some of the other creators, editor software that's there, that software does come in Arabic, and also the language that you put into those editors would be the language that you choose.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome, Rupa.
I'm going to put in the chat the
We have a question
link. You
from Naraz.
only have to click on it.
Let's go with Naraz first and then Rawan after. Naraz?
Okay, hi. You said when you're generating tests on ChatGPT that every time you punch them in, it gives new results, yeah?
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Okay. My concern, how far do you think that students, they know, especially adults, that you're using ChatGPT to generate exams? How about if they use themselves and they can get to the questions and the answers?
That I think is an excellent question, but it's also something that's difficult for us to control because they use ChatGPT for work and for other sources as well. Not every generated document on ChatGPT comes with the answers. One of the things that I like to do after I've taken it from ChatGPT, I make adjustments to the names. I adjust the proper nouns, and I also adjust some of the other nouns to kind of change the subject or object of the sentence. And as simple as that might sound, there are many students that see it and don't see a difference. So they sit there and think, oh, this is the wrong one, and they'll probably keep looking. We got to outsmart them. And even if we have to use language to outsmart them, so that we do the best that we can. And another reason why I changed the proper nouns, focusing on changing the subject and object of these, it's because language, as we learned in linguistics, needs to be culturally sensitive or culturally aware. And a lot of learners love to see names and places from their own culture. So if I'm using a chat GPT that tends to stick towards the Western names and things, changing them to names from other cultures, other languages, ends up tricking the student because it doesn't look the same to them, and it helps them as we go.
Thank you.
Very welcome, Naraz. Thank you. Rawan?
Can you please include the sites, the links of the sites in your YouTube channel, so we can go through these links?
If you go to the chat right now, you'll see that I've posted a link that takes you directly to a folder, a drive folder that has all of the documents that we've shown you here, but it also has amongst those documents a full list, a 2-page list of many of the things that we use just to get you started with their links. So you only have to click on the link and it will take you straight to.
Thank you very much. That's helpful.
You're very welcome. Any other questions?
Can I just ask another quick question? Like if I produce something that I liked and then regenerated it, can I go to the first one, or does it save it automatically, or there is no way I have to save everything I do just not to lose it forever on ChatGPT?
Oh, it will save all your history, every single thing. And it will even, if you look at, if you've noticed on Connie's, it shows even when you saved it. So you'll see the month and everything.
Oh, fantastic. So there is no chance I lose them. They will still
No,
be there.
not at all.
No. So even something like the HSCC assignment, I had multiple ways that I was gonna present this, and then seeing it here, we decided to just go with the mind map, and it's still here. So in the future, if I contract with a company that needs me to do a vocabulary lesson, I have one here sitting in my history, and what I can do is just adjust it to meet the needs of that company or that group of students. So it's there.
And is there a
And
chance we both can produce something very similar, for example, if we put similar instructions?
I did, these are 1, 2, 3, 4 risk managements. I did it more than once. Like I practice what I preach, I promise. So here I've got, I wanted to see what it would look like for high school, because I wanted to test it to see if it's only going to give me stuff based on one dynamic. So if it's all the same. So I got high school, and here I've got 2 high schools, and here I've got employees will be able to understand and use basic. And then here I've got another high school. But I tried to deviate it as much as I could. So I guess I got what I wanted from that when I did it. But I've got 3 high schools and 1 employees, and I'm sure I could find another employee search.
Fantastic.
The
Thank you.
trick to ChatGPT is to keep changing your search as much as you can to get what you want. And it doesn't take that long. It literally, what I do is I type something in, vocabulary for high school learners, and I want to add special needs, and I want to add ESL, and I want to add beginners. My first search would have stopped here, and I would have entered. My second search would have I would have added in specialty. Then third, I would have added in the proficiency. And then lastly, I would have then done another search to get the specific proficiency. And then I would have compared all of them. That would have taken me the amount of time it takes to add one word and press enter. So that would have given me, 5 different searches in less than 3 minutes. And all I have to do is copy and paste them into Microsoft Word and then cut and paste what I need. Does that help?
1 minute, Connie.
Oh, okay. Are there any other questions?
I'm afraid we need to stop actually.
Okay, Shadi, this is
Please visit us at our website. I put the link in the chat. We can continue the Q&A through our website.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle and Connie Hall. Actually, in conclusion of this special workshop at the Queen Rania Teacher Academy Forum for Teacher Training 2023, we would like to express our deep thanks to the presenters, Michelle, Osni, and Connie Hall, and to all of you for your effective and inspiring participation. We hope that this workshop has added value to your ideas and educational skills. We remind you that you will receive your certificate of attendance by email shortly, and we urge you to fill out the feedback survey, which will help us to improve and develop our future experiences. We look forward to seeing you at QRTA's future events. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we appreciate QRTA really for the honor.
Thank you. It's our honor.